In the last lesson, we talked about while loops. In this lesson, we'll talk about for loops. They both do the similar process, but they handle the data in a different way. As a programmer, I actually tend to use for loops a little more, especially when working with a database. But again, they both serve a practical purpose. So let's look at the structure of a for loop. We're going to type in for, open our conditions, open the curly braces, and close the curly braces. As you can see, the beginning structure starts exactly the same as a while loop, which is again the same as an if statement. The same basic structure applies. The parentheses, the braces, and the command. Now here's where it gets different. The conditional statement, you define an element. So here I'm going to define x, set it equal to 0. Then I'm going to say where x is less than some number. In this case, we're going to say 40. Do another semicolon, and then we're going to say x plus plus. So with the while loop, we created a counter outside of the while loop like this. But with the for loop, we don't create a counter. It's built right into the structure. So the $x is essentially our counter, and the x plus plus says cycle through x until we get through 40. So I'm going to just do an echo. The current number is, and we'll say x. Let's run this. And actually, let's break it so we can see what we're doing here. So we'll do a HTML break, and this will look a little better. There we go. The current number is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so forth. Again, notice we end at 39 because when x equals plus plus, it's going to actually... Notice we end at 39 just like in the while loop. Now, similar to for, we have what's called a for each. The for each doesn't need the conditional statement like the for loop does, where we're defining x and then we're setting x to plus plus, because for each is saying that for each element in something, we're going to process it. So let's go ahead and create what's called an array. We will get to arrays later, but this will at least give you a little introduction. So I'm going to type in colors equals array. Now just kind of a comparison to the string arrays we were doing before, remember I talked about indexes. So on the string array, each letter was an index. So if I was to do string of 1, that would be E, because we have 0, then 1. If I was to do color of 1, it would be green, because this is not a string array, this is an actual array. So the index of 0 is red, the index of 1 is green, the index of 2 is blue. So there's your brief array introduction. So now we're saying for each colors, we're going to define as value. Then we're going to echo the current color is value. And let's do a break so we can see what's happening. So what this is going to do, it's going to take the array of colors, and for each color in here, it's going to output it as value and display that value in our loop. When it's done with the total number of colors, it's going to exit the loop. Let's take a look at it. Current color is red, green, blue, and yellow. Okay, and just for fun, let's add some actual color to it using HTML and style sheets. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to separate this down to another line. And then we'll go ahead and separate this down as well. I'm going to end this statement just like that. And then we're going to close our PHP tag. Let's go ahead and create the bold HTML tag and then open PHP tags again. Lastly, I'm going to close it again and we'll close my bold tag, close my line break just as you see here, and then open PHP tags. So I know that's a lot, but as you can see, we basically have PHP, we close our PHP, create an HTML tag, open PHP up again, and we're going to put some more code right here, close our PHP, open some more HTML, and then open PHP again. All this nested inside of our for statement. We're going to have to type echo again, and then in my bold here, I'm going to create a style, a color, and let's see what red should be. So let's go ahead and pick out red. So let's cut that out, and up here at the very top, we're going to pick a color. I'm creating an if statement here saying if the value is equal to red, we're going to go ahead and copy that if statement out into multiple sections so we have some more else ifs. Next, I'm going to check the hex value for each one of my colors and place that as the $hex color value. You'll notice at the top I created $hex color equals 0. Okay, so if it equals red, we'll do this. If it equals green, we'll do that. Blue, and then finally yellow. We've got all our hex values for those different colors. And then here I'm going to open my PHP tags back up, and I'm going to echo $hex color. Close my PHP tags, and then close my quotes. So let's see what this does. Now we have colors. Now, this was a little more work than what you'd probably do if you were coding. In reality, what you'd probably do is you'd create what's called a multi-dimensional array. So for the red, you would create a value next to the red that is the hex value, the green value, and so forth. That way we don't have to redefine those down here with if statements. We can just get the current color and its hex value and process it. But I didn't want to give you too much in this lesson. So here's a recap. We create a for each that takes every single color that's in this array. We assign it to the variable value. We created a hex color, just set it equal to 0, or we could have even used null. We created a series of if statements that check to see what the current color is. If the color matched red, we took hex color and applied it to the hexadecimal color value. Same thing with green, blue, and yellow. Next, we echoed the current color is and then closed that statement. Here we closed our PHP tag and then we injected some HTML. This is a bold tag in HTML and we applied what's called a style sheet to it. We used the property of color to say we were going to change the hex value of the current element that's inside the bold tags. We opened our PHP back up and echoed the current value or color that's being displayed. Closing our PHP, we closed the bold tag and we added a line break, and finally we reopened our PHP tags in order to close our loop. And the result was different colors. In the next lesson, we're going to go even more in depth into arrays.